So it does seem that Hong Kong trail racing is coming back. I would imagine, from where I sit, that within the next year we're going to see it resume and go back. So it seems, from my observation, is that the races are slowly coming back. Now remember, pre-pandemic, we probably had at least 2 races every weekend, sometimes more than that. These are the mountain races across Hong Kong. Mountain racing in Hong Kong is extremely popular, and it's probably more popular than road running, which is the main sport in other countries. So Hong Kong, because of its unique geography, has this enormous trail running community who have been shut out from physical races as they used to happen before the pandemic. As Hong Kong slowly starts to open up. Last weekend we saw 2 big events happening. One was a virtual race, the UTMB, which of course is one of the most famous, iconic races for Hong Kong. Now that was virtual, but we still had more than 1,000 people take place in the last weekend on Lantau, going over different distances. I think they have 3 different distances, 25, 50 and 100. Between those races we saw multiple people, but it was virtual, which means people were doing it in their own time. They were being timed by their phones or their watches, whichever they were using to track them as they go around. Now we've seen these virtual races, we've done stories on this at Drone and Phone before, but what was more exciting was to see a physical race taking place on Hong Kong with restrictions. In these ultra races, it's important that you also consume food, and that would normally be given out at the checkpoints. That obviously causes a problem with the current pandemic controls, and so they had a way that they could spread out the food and people could consume it in other ways. It's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it did allow for a physical race to happen. So I think that we're going to see in the coming weeks more and more of these physical races taking place. If you are a trail runner, it's worth continually checking to see what races are being released. I'm sure there'll be more virtual races. Whether the virtual races will be here to stay, I don't know. I mean, I did a few virtual races in the last couple of years, and I did like the fact that I was able to pick and choose what time suited me to run it. However, the fun of being with lots of other people at a physical race, to be able to physically challenge yourself, compete with people in your own category, to race them physically on the day, to see if you can get a bit further up. And then you also got to meet people, of course, and you talk to people along the trail, so that's nice. Now for the 2 possibly biggest trail races in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong 100 and Trail Walker. Trail Walker is going to be going ahead, though delayed. It's normally held in November, and we're going to see it happen in February this year with around 2,400 runners. That's really exciting to see because that is a huge event in Hong Kong. And the Hong Kong 100, well, it's going ahead virtually in January. But they have posted a date and they have applied for a permit. So fingers crossed they'll get that permit and we'll see the Hong Kong 100 return in February, which is very exciting for some of the top runners around Asia who come in to do that. Now, some of the races may not come back. We're not sure whether that's coming back, but I'm sure there'll be new races as well that will replace them. Hong Kong trail running, it's coming back.